This would be so totally epic and a perfect way to restore the reputation of Green Lantern. What's up guys, welcome back to Superhero Legacy. My name is Liam, and in today's video, I want to talk about Green Lantern in the new DCU. With James Gunn's new universe that is going to be starting in a couple years, and with all of the exciting announcements that have been put out there about his upcoming projects, and really everything that's been said about his universe, it's been getting me thinking about how he's going to incorporate these characters into his universe, specifically Green Lantern, who is one of my all-time favorite superheroes. For those of you who have been following my channel and kind of watching my videos, then you know I love this character so much. I really just like the whole Green Lantern lore, and that's because of what Geoff Johns did in his 10-year run on the character, which is right back here. I have all three Omnis. I've read them multiple times. I think his entire run was incredible. He transformed Green Lantern from like a C-list character all the way up to an A-list character and expanded the mythos. All in all, just made the character so much better. I know the true potential that this character possesses and how much he could mean and how cool he could be in live action if they did him right. I just don't think that Green Lantern to the general public is a very popular superhero, and if people have heard of him before, it's probably from the 2011 live action movie, which does him a tremendous disservice. That was a mistake. We don't talk about that. It was awful. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. I love Green Lantern, but in this video, I'm going to be talking about how I would do Green Lantern. Spoiler alert, it's based off of this run right here, but I'm going to preface that I know this is probably not going to happen. It's very far-fetched, and this is really just me fantasizing about how I want my favorite superhero to be portrayed in live action. I've been thinking about this a lot just because the idea, the vision that I have for this character in live action just puts a huge smile on my face, and it would be totally epic. Hopefully they'll do this, but I'm quite certain that they're not going to. So we already know that James Gunn is going to be incorporating a Green Lantern live action show within his universe on HBO Max, or I guess it's just called Max now. And I think this is a good idea because it's going to establish, I hope it's going to establish the whole Green Lantern lore and how Green Lanterns operate and the mythos behind this character. It's gonna lay down the groundwork for Green Lantern. And I like that because I think it'll mean that this show is not gonna operate as a kind of origin for Hal Jordan or for John Stewart. I think they're gonna be already established Lanterns working for the Corps. If you have read Geoff Johns' run, then you know that it features Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, John Stewart, and Kyle Rayner, the main four Green Lanterns from Earth, and all of them play a big role in the greater story. However, Hal Jordan is the main character. All of them are in it, but Hal Jordan is the main central focus, and that's how I hope James Gunn's live action universe will do it. I still want Guy Gardner, John Stewart, and Kyle Rayner. I think those are excellent characters, but I do want Hal Jordan being at the center of it just because this run did it and just because Hal Jordan is my favorite Green Lantern. Another thing I want to say here is that Hal Jordan should be in the Justice League. He should be in the Justice League movies. However, I do think that there's enough lore behind Hal Jordan's Green Lantern to hold his own franchise and to really hold his own event as well. So he should have his individual movies and his own franchise that leads up to maybe something greater for him as a character, but I think he should be in the Justice League too. But let me go ahead and tell you how I would do Green Lantern, and I think it'd be awesome to see this. You can tell me in the comments if you think it would be cool, but I think it would be just epic. So first things first, this vision that I have will probably take 10 years or more to carry out, and it would take patience, it would take careful planning and everything, but I think James Gunn is totally capable of doing that, and that's what the Infinity Saga was. It took 10 years to build that whole saga, and I think that they should do the same thing with Green Lantern. So as I've already mentioned before, the Green Lantern live action show on Max will probably feature a experienced Hal Jordan as a Green Lantern already. So when we get our first Green Lantern cinematic movie, it'll be a prequel. This movie is going to do a couple things. The first thing that it's going to do is introduce us to Hal Jordan, and it's going to retell his origin of becoming a Green Lantern. I hope we get to see the story about how Hal Jordan as a kid watched his father tragically die in a plane crash, and I think that is important to this character. It should also introduce us to his brothers and how he kind of joined the Air Force, and then it should also show us Carol Ferris, who is the main love interest for Hal. But the biggest thing about this prequel movie is it should show how Hal Jordan gets kind of inducted into the Green Lantern Corps, how the Ring chooses him, and ultimately how he is trained by Sinestro. For those of you who don't know, Sinestro started out as a Green Lantern, and he was the mentor for Hal Jordan before he went rogue and established his own corps and became the main antagonist to Hal Jordan. This movie should feature Sinestro and should kind of develop his character and show the audience what he's all about, how he ticks, and kind of his personality. He'll be training Hal Jordan throughout the entire movie, and of course he'll take him to Oa, which is the planet where the Green Lantern home base is, and we'll get introduced to the Guardians and kind of how the rings work and how they charge it, and we'll see all of these other supporting Green Lantern members, Kilowog and Tamar and other members of the Green Lantern Corps. It'll be awesome. The main thing here is that it's going to establish the Green Lantern lore and build that mythos up. We'll also be introduced to Black Hand and who he is as a character, and it'll lay down the foundation for him because he will be a bigger part in this greater story. Then years later, when we get a second Green Lantern movie, it is still going to be a prequel. This movie will still feature Sinestro and Hal Jordan as the two main characters, and Sinestro is still going to be training Hal. Hal is going to be a little bit more experienced here, but the main villain of this movie is going to be Atrocitus, and we're going to be introduced to the Red Lanterns of Rage. We'll get the whole proper backstory and development of the Red Lanterns and how they came to be and the motivation behind Atrocitus. Atrocitus is going to lead the Red Lanterns to war against the Green Lanterns and against the Guardians, because I'm not going to get into it, but Atrocitus' entire motive and why he hates the Green Lanterns is because of what the Guardians did to him in the past. So he is going to kind of wage war on the Green Lanterns in that way, and then Sinestro and Hal are going to have to, work together with the Green Lantern Corps to take him down. And by the end of the movie, Atrocitus won't be dead. I hope he doesn't die, but he will be defeated. He'll be locked up somewhere. Maybe he'll be missing or something. He won't die. Also, the big thing about this second prequel movie is that we're going to still see Sinestro working for the Green Lantern Corps and still training Hal, but we're going to start seeing him lose his way a little bit. We're going to see him kind of challenging authority, kind of questioning the motive and, the way the Green Lanterns do things. He's still going to be a Green Lantern throughout this entire movie, but he's just going to grow a little bit more skeptical about the whole Corps and the way that the Guardians are doing things. And then maybe to top it all off, in the end credit scene of this second prequel, we'll see Sinestro finding maybe another means, another source of power, another way to do things. And then moving on to the third Green Lantern movie, this movie is going to completely feature Sinestro going rogue, completely turning on the Green Lantern Corps, losing his way entirely, establishing his Sinestro Corps, the Corps that, he made himself, and we're going to see him wielding a yellow ring, which is going to be, powered by the emotion of fear. Sinestro is going to harness the power of Parallax, and it's going to be awesome, it's going to be epic, and it's going to be totally badass. Sinestro is going to take his loyal followers and wage war on the Green Lantern Corps because he thinks that order is not best maintained in the universe by heroism or doing the right thing or being a beacon of hope or through inspiration. He thinks that order can be best maintained and established through the installation of fear and keeping people afraid and using his power to control and manipulate and to bolster his own name. By the way, I forgot to mention that this third movie is going to be present day. So the first two movies were prequels. The first one established, Hal Jordan becoming a Green Lantern, being trained by Sinestro. The second one still was a prequel about Atrocitus and Sinestro kind of losing his way a little bit. This third movie is present day and takes place in modern time, and it will be loosely adapted after Jeff Johns' comic story called Sinestro Corps War. And in this film, Hal Jordan will have to learn to kind of step away from Sinestro and be loyal to the Guardians and the Green Lantern Corps and turn on his mentor to take him down. Again, at the end of this movie, Sinestro will not die. He will be defeated, but he won't die. And I think actually in Sinestro Corps War, at the end of that story in the comics, he was banished to the antimatter universe and he was stuck there until he came back later. So maybe they can do something like that again. And by the way, the other Green Lanterns from Earth, so Kyle Rayner, John Stewart, and Guy Gardner, they're going to be around and they're going to be helping in these fights and these battles. They're going to be helping and working with Hal Jordan, but Hal Jordan will still be the main character. But in this fourth movie, we're going to be introduced to this character known as Larfleeze, who is the sole wielder of the Orange Lantern Corps. The orange ring is powered by the emotion of greed, so so it makes sense that Larfleeze is the only member of this Corps, and this guy is insanely powerful. He's basically got the power of the entire Green Lantern Corps within him. He wields the power of an entire Corps in one being. Like, that's ridiculous. So he's going to be a big threat and the main antagonist, and Hal Jordan is going to have to, you know, lead the Green Lanterns. By this point, Hal Jordan is probably the best member of the Green Lantern Corps, and he's like the Guardians' #1 officer. So he's going to lead the assault to try to take down Larfleeze, but Larfleeze is going to be super powerful, and the Green Lantern Corps is going to have to get the help from the Blue Lanterns of Hope. We're going to get introduced to St. Walker, and we're going to see the Blue Lantern Corps and how that came about. And I think Ganthet is the one who established the Blue Lantern Corps, and Ganthet is one of the members, he's one of the guardians of the Green Lantern Corps who made the Blue Lantern Corps when, you know, he went off on his own. But anyway, it's going to be super cool, and we're going to see Hal Jordan kind of learning about the Blue Lantern Corps and working with them to take down Larfleeze. And again, Larfleeze is going to be defeated, but he's not going to die. I actually don't know if they can kill Larfleeze. He's so powerful, but the important thing is they're not like wasting these villains. They're not making them one-time villains. They'll be used in the future. In the 5th Green Lantern movie, we're going to see the Star Sapphires, and we're going to see the Indigo Tribe. So the Star Sapphires operate off of the emotion of love, and the Indigo Tribe operates off of the emotion of compassion. So we're going to learn about their cores and how they work, and we're going to see Carol Ferris be one of the members of the Star Sapphires, and we're going to see Indigo One, the leader of the Indigo Tribe. And in this movie, those two cores are going to be at war with each other. They're going to have conflict, and the Green Lanterns are going to find themselves in the middle of it all. I should also mention that all of these Green Lantern movies, I think I'm on number 5, but in all of them we're going to see like maybe little teases, little Easter eggs, little tidbits and hints to what's going to happen later on, the bigger threat that lies out there. And if you've read Geoff Johns' run on this character, then you know what I'm talking about. It's going to be the Black Lanterns and the rise of Nekron. So the 6th and final Green Lantern movie is going to see the triumphant return of Sinestro and his Corps, as well as Atrocitus and his Corps. Sinestro and Atrocitus are basically going to combine their two corps and all of their power and wage war on the united Green and Blue Lanterns. Because remember, the Blue Lanterns are kind of working with the Green Lanterns. They help them defeat Larfleeze, and they're kind of like united already. So we'll see Sinestro and Atrocitus team up against St. Walker and Hal Jordan, and we'll see those 4 corps kind of duking it out, and it's going to be awesome. I don't know if this is getting too confusing for you guys. If you've been following, then congratulations. If you haven't, then yeah, I don't know what to tell you, because really this is just my thoughts in my brain just kind of flooding out. Just go read the Geoff Johns run on Green Lantern and you'll understand. So in the end credit scene of this final 6th movie, we'll also see the rise of the central power battery of the Black Lanterns, and we'll see Black Hand kind of discovering the power of the Black Lanterns and getting a black ring himself. So needless to say, Black Hand has been kind of conspiring throughout all of this. He wasn't the main focus of any of these movies, but he's been kind of trying to unravel the mystery of the Blackest Night and kind of the Black Lanterns and everything. Then we're finally going to get to the climax of this 6-movie Green Lantern franchise, and it's going to be this massive event level movie. Hopefully the climax will be split into 2 big movies, kind of like Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, how they were really 2 halves of the same story. Hopefully it'll be like that. So in this grand epic finale, we'll see kind of the rise of Nekron, the rise of the Black Lanterns as they wage war against all of the DC universe, and we'll see Black Hand becoming a bigger threat, being a bigger part of this story. This will also just be this massive event, so it's gonna kind of bring in the rest of the DC universe and all those characters that James Gunn had been working on throughout this time, and they'll come into play, they'll be in this movie, they'll have a role. It still won't be about them primarily, they'll be in it and they'll be helping out and they'll be affected, but it will still be a Green Lantern centric event. And Hal Jordan will still be at the forefront of all of this. The other cool thing about this is that Blackest Night is one of my all-time favorite DC comics, one of my favorite DC events. It's so good. I highly recommend it, but you have to read all of Geoff Johns' entire build-up for it. It's great. The Blackest Night really kind of relies on the history of the DC universe, and it uses kind of the dead superheroes and supervillains that have died and resurrects them as part of the Black Lantern Corps, kind of zombifies them. They're basically just inducted into Nekron's army and his plans to plunder the universe into darkness. The Black Lanterns pretty much represent death. Like, that's all Necron is. He's the embodiment of death, so the absence of life, and that's what they're trying to do. Black Hand is kind of like the main henchman to Necron. He's kind of what's pushing his plans forward. But anyway, back to the point. So Blackest Night is going to have to rely on dead characters, and that's not going to be a problem, I don't think, because like I've mentioned, this is going to be hopefully a 10-year plus build-up of Green Lantern movies and this entire big story leading up into Blackest Night. So hopefully there will be characters, there will be supervillains and superheroes that will have died, and they can be resurrected as part of the Black Lanterns. So back to the point, in this 2-movie epic Blackest Night event, we'll see Hal Jordan at the forefront of it all, leading the Green Lanterns and having to team up with Sinestro, with Atrocitus, with the Blue Lanterns, with the Star Sapphires, with the Indigo Tribe, and we'll see the return of Larfleeze. All of the corps are going to have to come together, settle their differences, and work as a team to take down the common threat, and that's going to be the Black Lanterns and Necron. Oh, this would be so good. You cannot tell me that this wouldn't be awesome to see in the cinematic format. What's cool about this too is that this 2-part Blackest Night movie will kind of be the climax of all of those Green Lantern movies, and it will be this massive event, but it will be basically a Green Lantern centered story. And I'm not saying that Blackest Night has to be the ending of an entire saga of the whole DC universe like Avengers Infinity War and Endgame were. The Justice League can still be built up to be doing something maybe against like Darkseid. All the other characters in the universe can be built up to be doing their own things, but this is cool because they can also be doing this whole Green Lantern thing, and then it can kind of combine at the Blackest Night. I don't know, I've just been thinking about this a lot. I think it'd be really cool to see. I guarantee you they're not going to do this. This is really just for me. This is just what I've been thinking. It'd be awesome to see. It's just nice to fantasize sometimes. This would just be a perfect way to restore the reputation of Green Lantern, to show people that he's a great superhero and he possesses a lot of potential. I also just think that the Green Lantern lore and the mythos and everything regarding them would be just so cinematic. Like seeing all the colors and the CGI with today's time, if it's done well, can look really cool. Like it'd just be this giant space cosmic war. And that's really what initiates this Blackest Night event, is that there's all this chaos and all this war happening out there in the universe. Like all those corps are fighting each other, and in all that chaos and in all that turmoil, the Blackest Lanterns rise and they take advantage of that opportunity. And that's how I kind of want these movies played out. If you've been following me throughout all of this, all of those movies are going to be building up to something, but it's basically going to focus on all these wars, all these corps going to battle with one another, and that's going to spark Blackest Night. The last thing I want to say here before I end this video, because it's getting a little long, is that these 6 Green Lantern movies will be building up to Blackest Night, be building up to something bigger, but they have to remember to make those individual movies still good. They have to be compelling, they have to be intriguing, they have to have good individual stories so that, you know, we're invested into the greater arc. Also, it'd be really cool to see Jeff Johns, the writer of this entire series in the comics, be on the creative team for this. I think that would be cool. That would ensure that it'd be good. But then again, this is just a big fantasy for me. I'm just a huge fan of Green Lantern, and I really care about this character, and I want to see him done right, but this would be awesome. Don't tell me that this wouldn't be awesome. I'm just thinking about it, and it makes me just like shiver, because like it'd be so cool. Like it would be awesome.
It would be so awesome. It would be so cool.
With all that said, I'm going to end it right here. I'm going to go ahead and say the Green Lantern Oath, because why not? At this point, I'm just nerding out. In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Please like and subscribe for more superhero content, and share your thoughts on my thoughts on Green Lantern in the new DCU down in the comments below. You can find some of my other videos right over here, but for now, thank you so much for watching, and stay super.